understand.
Tell them that we bonded.
I am proud to be a Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
You're bonded, you're bonded.
Tell them that we bonded.
You're bonded, you're bonded. I am a true born Belizean.
Tell them that we bonded.
Belize my home, my native land.
Tell them that we bonded.
I want you people to...
Greetings again and welcome to another episode of Navel String Connections. I am Bilal Morris, live in my studio here in Los Angeles. And we want to say, first of all, that this show is sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. And our producer of this show is Nur Muhammad. Executive producer is XTV Most High. And we want to thank our brother Harlan in the studio right away. We have a very, very informative, educational, a very pertinent issue to be discussed today. We have our guest already in-house waiting. So we want to invite you, the Belizeans living across the Belizean diaspora, because our guest comes to you right now to reach out to you to present this very vital, critical thing that is unfolding in Belizean society with our elders. And we always bridge this gap between Belizeans at home and abroad, in that we want to bring these voices and these issues to you that live across the United States, the United Kingdom, the Caribbean, Africa, Europe, wherever you are Belizeans. Tell one to tell one that Navel String Connections is a show for you. This is the show for the Belizeans in the diaspora in connection with our Belizeans on the ground. We are in the whole process of helping to develop Belize and to address critical issues confronting Belize and bringing those voices from across the diaspora with those voices in Belize itself. Professionals, people who are the movers and shakers on the ground on both parts of the divide. And we want to bring these voices to you because it is very important that we Belizeans who spread across this Belizean nation at home and abroad, that we understand that we are a unified force. And if we are not a unified force, we cannot help develop Belize in that way. We cannot be fragmented. We cannot have one nation at home and another abroad. No, we have to be able to reach across the shores and hold hands in terms of helping to move away these hurdles and these challenges that is confronting the Belizean nation. And with that said, I want to introduce my guest today. Dr. Ava Pennill joins us here. And Mrs. Pennill is a lecturer in the social work department at the University of Belize and serves as the president of the board of the Belize Palliative Care Hospice Association. With more than 35 years of experience in social service leadership and direct practice, she has been a strong advocate for vulnerable populations and the development of compassionate systems of care. In her current role, she's helping to advance hospice and palliative care in Belize, supporting a model of care that prioritizes dignity, comfort, and quality of life for individuals facing serious life-limiting illnesses. Her work emphasizes a holistic approach to care, addressing physical, emotional, spiritual, and psychological pain, while also supporting families through some of these life's most difficult moments. Throughout her career, Mrs. Pennill has held key national leadership roles and contributed to the initiatives addressing social protection, health, and human development. Today, healthcare and social services and education to ensure that compassionate end-of-life care is accessible to all Belizeans regardless of their ability to pay. And that is so very crucial. I underscore that, Dr. Pennill, and welcome to Navel String Connections.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, man, and you could tell we're way on the other string, Barry, no? I mean, we all know we are Belizeans and we live there, but sometimes on the other string has been buried in different parts of the country. Tell us about yourself and where you were born and a basic little synopsis of your life.
I was born in Belize City on Water Lane, not too far from the Hydes residence. They lived on the canal side and we were on Water Lane. I grew up in Belize City. My father was he was an entrepreneur. He did a little bit of police work. He did a little bit of tourism. I think he did a little bit of everything to survive. His heart was with people, and I think that is where I got it from. He was always concerned about people and concerned that people got a fair chance. I went to high school, St. Catherine's Academy, and when I left high school, I went to Belize Training Teachers College. So I started teaching first because that is how you did it in those days, no? I taught first and I sat all my exams, my first class teachers exams and all those. And then I went to Teachers College and I started working with persons with disabilities. I taught at Stella Maris School. I took that on as a challenge, and that was quite interesting. I enjoyed that. And then I went on to do early identification and community rehabilitation with persons with disabilities with a focus on children. So we started programs across the country for children with disabilities on focusing on early stimulation. And there was quite a little number of us, young in my age, we were young then, but we took on that challenge because there was very little for children with disabilities at the time. And we promoted several different types of services based on Coruscant might have one type, Orange Walk might have one type, Belize City had another type. But the goal was to get the acceptance of children with disabilities and knowing that they have a right, just like every other child, and that they must get whatever services they need to satisfy whatever, so that they can become productive human beings or productive adults or productive citizens of Belize. And I did that, and then I did that for several years. Then I went into child protection. And that was a little bit of a jump, but I did the same thing in child protection, setting up. At that time, we didn't have family court, we had magistrate court, and everything went through domestic violence. So every child abuse case was seen through the lens of domestic violence because we did not have the law, the Families and Children's Act at the time. But I believe nothing can stop you. If you have a goal to do something, whether it's protecting children, protecting adults, protecting people, you use what you have to protect them. And then you advocate for what you do not have. But it's not an excuse that you do not have. That is not an excuse not to provide or not to offer to leave people on the wayside. So I did child protection for many years, and then I did youth services, I did elderly, I did disaster. I worked with almost all, I think all vulnerable populations. I did trafficking in persons. So I have a wide cross section, and I looked at it not only what I was doing, but at the macro level. How can we prepare people to deliver these services? So I used to always say the Department of Human Services was the training ground. So you came out of UB, Teachers College, and we perfected you. You came with some skills and we gave you the skills that you needed. And once they worked at Human Services, they got a job anywhere else because Human Services gave them a wide experience. That's fine, no problem. So we just made sure that Human Services had a strong training component so that once they come into human services, they're trained. We have a strong system that we can allow people to leave and allow them to be replaced. It's hard work, and we realize that burnout is real. So we know that they will serve for a time and then they will leave, but we want them to leave and go into a similar service so that we spread the skill. That was my idea when I was at the Department of Human Services and the Department of Youth and the Department of Women. And I did that until I retired. And when I retired, I made the next step and I came to the university. I came to the university to prepare young social workers, because at that time we were getting social workers that had very little or no work experience. Prior to that, the students that came to the university had work experience. So now the challenge was to prepare young social workers and how to make sure that you get them prepared. So when they move into the field, it is a seamless move into the field. So there's no gap. And I've been doing that. I've been here now, 10 years I've been here. I'm always looking for opportunities. I keep in very close contact with the field. I'm in close contact with all the agencies. I am in charge of the field experience, the first field experience. And that is how we came to palliative. Dr. Thompson at the time approached us for social work interns. And it is how to prepare. So we started out preparing interns, and I would put one intern at a time so that we could manage the because another thing I do at the university, I look for where I believe social workers should be, and they might not be there. Like, for example, Mercy Clinic. Mercy Clinic did not have a social worker, and I offered to put an intern into Mercy Clinic, and then the intern. And as we did that, the agency realized the importance of a social worker within that field. And when the agency realized that, they would then put out and they would hire a social worker. So that is what I continue to do. I look for areas that do not have a social worker, because a social worker belongs in almost every area. They are the people that help persons with their social functioning. They connect with people and they move people and help them with the wider society. And so that is what we did. So when we started with palliative, it was not as organized as it is now. We were visiting and we had to staff, we call it staff, but we did the cases in the evening, trying to help the intern to understand death and how death comes and pain with death. And so that is how we started out. And that went well, because I would choose the ones that I think can handle it and would be open to it. And then COVID came. So when COVID came, a lot of the places closed down, but palliative cannot close down. That's not an option. And I had an intern at palliative, and then I had this other young student. And she called me one day and we were doing telesocial work. It was by telephone. And she said, "Miss, I don't want to talk to people on the phone. I want to touch people. I don't like the phone." So I told her, I said, "Look, the only placement I have is with palliative, and palliative is end of life." She said, "I don't care. I will go. I will try." But it was both of them going. And she went. And on her first visit, I think it was her first day of work, she went in and things trigger you. You know, as a social worker, things trigger you. So it was an older woman, and this older woman was actively dying, and the doctor was there teaching this very young social worker, she was in her early 20s, the signs of actively dying, and talking to her about how to help a person transition. And they were singing songs and they were doing different things, helping this older person to transition. Now, it triggered the young social worker because when her grandmother died, she did not have the opportunity to see her grandmother before her grandmother died. She was left at school, and her mother, all good intention, you're the mother, you don't want your young child to maybe witness that. You somehow feel that death is not a natural process. So they left her at school and they went to take care of grandmother. And the next time she saw her grandmother was dead. So she saw this old lady and it triggered her right back to the grandmother. And she stood, she watched, she listened, and she started feeling a little bit. And she stepped outside and she composed herself and she went back in. And we're online, so I can't even see her in person. We're online. And so they asked for a meeting and we talked about it and we explored it. And that is how I know the connection with the grandmother. But she continued. She continued and she finished her. And so when palliative went down for a little while, and then they brought in Chaplain Federico Gianelli. And he was missioned. He has training and experience in this area. He's out of the Los Angeles area. He's currently in Los Angeles at a fundraiser. So he was missioned to come to Belize to set up a palliative and a hospice home, which would be a teaching facility. So he came on and they invited me to a training and I went and I sat and I listened to him. And he's talking social work. And I'm listening and he speaks about transdisciplinary approach. And I got hooked because it sounds so familiar. It went back to when I worked with children with disabilities. It went back to when I started working with children, protecting children without any law or any legal thing. Somehow there was a match. And I started that is 2 years ago. And we have a team. We work with because that is a human right. You have a human right to get your services up until the time you die. Up until the time you take that last breath and you're pronounced dead, you are alive and you have human rights. And social work is strong on human rights and social justice. Those are our pillars. And they have a right. If the hospital says, and I can talk about, if the hospital says we can do no more, take home your loved one, that is fine. That is fine because the loved one wants to be around their family. But you can't leave it like that. You need to support that family and you need to support that person that is also dying until that time comes. And so how do you do that? What are the strategies you do that? And that is what he brought. He has been missioned here for 5 years. He has completed 2.5 years. So we are like on fast forward. It is a human right and it's a right of the state. So we have a relationship with a very strong relationship with the Ministry of Health. We have a relationship with NHI, and we have a relationship with other business places, with human development, and with the university, because it has to be built in. It can't be a separate thing. Everybody dies. So this program has to be connected to what exists. And so we started the program, and the program consists, it's what we call a transdisciplinary approach. There are 2 teams. We have a doctor, a nurse, and a social worker or a chaplain. It would be good to have the social worker and the chaplain, but we don't have enough people for that. They go into the home and the doctor and the nurse looks at the physical side of the person, the physical pain, the physical symptoms. The social worker looks at the social and emotional, what is happening in the home, what is happening with this person, what is the dynamics in the home, how we get things done. It's simple things like how a lot of mechanics within the home and helping the family to access maybe services outside the home, working with the caregiver, working with other families. And attached to that, we have community volunteers because the community is responsible for the health of the community. So we have community volunteers. We have a 25 active community volunteers, and they are trained. We meet monthly, and they receive different training. They have no social work training. They are regular people. They are bankers and ex-bankers, and they're people that maybe some of them are nurses. They go into the homes and visit with these families and provide that social support to families. And that helps a lot because death, we don't understand it. We don't understand what happens after death or at death. People die at different ages, people die for different reasons. And sometimes people approach death differently. Some people are angry. Some people are satisfied that maybe it's time to go. Other people are questioning. Some people have issues with young children that they're leaving behind. Others have issues with broken relationships in their past that they want something to be done before they die. So you have all these issues that come to the fore when a person is dying, and you need somebody. They can't do anything, they're on the bed. But you need somebody that can assist them with that, what we call spiritual pain. We all have spiritual pain. We have things that bother us. We have things that would maybe keep us awake at night. But we're busy living. So that spiritual pain is in the background. But when you're sick and when you know you're lying in your bed and you're getting weaker and weaker, these issues come to the fore. And these issues, if not addressed or if not acknowledged, sometimes it's not that we can address it, sometimes we can acknowledge it. If these issues are not acknowledged and placed there in front, and our volunteers accompany people through the process. So they're there, they sit by them, and they're not there to fix the problem. They're not there to convert them to any religion. They're not there to tell them what they should believe. They're just there to be there to accompany them as they go through that process. So that is what the volunteers do. And they meet with them. So what this does, they also help them with what we call advanced directives. I think in the States it's much more. In Belize, we not to like advanced directives. We feel like we talk about that death is coming. No, once we talk about it, we're calling it. That's a cultural thing that we have. And they help people with their advanced directives because you have dignity until the time you close your eyes. So you have a right to say what you want, how you want to die, whether you want to be intubated or not to be intubated, what type of music, whenever you cannot speak anymore. What music would you like to hear? What songs would you like? Who would you like to be around you? Who should speak for you? Who should speak for you on different topics? You should have that right to say so. It shouldn't be somebody else taking that right away from you. So we try to do that very early on so that people can have a say, so that they know that when it comes time and they cannot do it for themselves, their views will be respected. So we do that. We visit the homes. We have a relationship with the Ministry of Health. So we have a doctor that is trained, and not all doctors could do this type of work because doctors are trained to cure. This is not cure. This is accompanying a person until the end, you know? And some doctors, sometimes they're not wired that way, you know? They're trained to
Yes.
cure, to fix. And this is not about fixing. This is about making people as comfortable as possible and helping them with the movement to death or the transition to death. So we have a doctor, but all our medication, there are a couple things. We chart or we document the work that we do. They go out, the team goes out every day, and they see between 6 and 7 patients per day. 2 teams, so it's like 14 to 16 patients per day. And they document what they do because it's medical, they're prescribing medication, they're monitoring the medication. But all this is done on the BHIS. So all this is done on the government system. So if the person has to go to the hospital for any reason, when the doctor at the hospital pulls up their BHIS, they will see what palliative is doing with that patient. So we chart or we document on the BHIS. The medication that the patients receive comes from the government pharmacy. So we have a pharmacist that is a volunteer. A lot of this is volunteer work as well. She's a trained, renowned pharmacist, Hortense Humes, and she's retired as well, but she's still working. She's a trained, very respected pharmacist in Belize. So she heads that part. She manages the medication, makes sure that the doctor and the patient gets the medication that they need. So we handle all of that so that it is easier on the family, and the family, it can be an easier transition. We provide all the care that they need. So we provide most, if not all, the medication. If we do not have a medication, we purchase the medication for the patients if they cannot purchase it. And if there's a medication that we believe the government should purchase, we also make a requisition through the Ministry of Health to get that medication. So we're working within those systems so that it is that we form roots, that this will not go away. 5, 10 years from now, maybe I won't be here, but it will continue, and it has to continue because everyone has a right. We also have a bereavement group. So for young children that lose their parents, we do a lot of legacy work with young children. And we also do work with persons that have lost loved ones. We have a group, a bereavement support group, and we help them with activities on dealing with grief and loss. Grief and loss never goes away. You lose somebody, you lose them for life. 10 years time, it's probably maybe a little different pain, but you still miss that person. So we do the bereavement group, we have the volunteers, so we try to integrate it into the community so the community takes charge of the needs of the community. I don't know if
Very much so. I just had to, you're educating me myself because, you know, Dr. Pennill, this has been such a needed thing. And I want to look, as you break down that whole process and this new history of palliative care, that is new for Belize because we have a very aging population of Belizeans. It has been a case where we have seen a lot of these aging Belizeans having that their loved ones have migrated to the United States. They have got of a certain age, and many of these people you would ask, who's taking care of you? And there's a lot of people, a lot of these aging seniors that said that everybody for them is in the States, and all their children, and there is certain extended family, and just friends, just simple, kind people. I wanted to know, share with us, if you may, how does your institution address also the homeless population? Because there's a lot of seniors who are aging and have become homeless. You see them in Belize. How do your services reach people like that? Because sometimes we hear of a lot of these people dying. I mean, myself here in Los Angeles, this large homeless population, these people are dying. And I was at a center one time where my mother was. And a lot of these caregivers for these aging people were saying that when they die, it's like nobody came for them. That they had to go to the funeral, the state have to bury them, and that they were the ones that had to buy the wreath, the flowers. And I was shocked. And they were explaining this to me, and here am I sitting beside my mother, who was an aging person. And I was shocked that, wow, do children abandon their parents like that? What is it like in Belize, Dr. Pennill, in this case, where a lot of our aging population have been displaced, they have become homeless. Many of them have died alone.
Well, as I said, we work with the Ministry of Human Development. Well, that's my former life, no? We work with the Ministry of Human Development, particularly the area that works with the most vulnerable populations. Palliative care looks at any person. Our focus is on the vulnerable, and we look at the most vulnerable. Because of the cost of the service, we have to set the criteria. So the criteria, the more resources we have, we can lessen the criteria. So now the criteria is set that you have at least 2 life-limiting conditions. So you have 2 conditions that can cause your death. We don't know which one will cause your death, but you have 2 of them. And usually it's done by the doctor. A doctor would do the referral. And once the doctor does the referral, the doctor at palliative will confirm that this person has 2 life-limiting conditions. And well, the vulnerability, or we look at the vulnerability and we look at the underserved, because you have some populations that are underserved. So we look at those 2 populations, and we also work with the Ministry of Human Development. Now, people that are homeless and that are sick, the Ministry of Human Development have several homes that they have for those persons. Where we would come in would be that if the person is in the home and the person qualifies for our service. Now, there are 2 arrangements that they have. They have a home where they're like rooms, and many people live there. It's like an institution. If the person lives there and the person qualifies for our service, having 2 life-limiting illnesses, and well, they're already vulnerable because they're in the home, we provide all the medical and the social support services to that person in that institution. So we go to the institution and we provide it there at the institution. So they will be seen by a doctor, a nurse, a social worker. If they need to be seen by a chaplain, because if you're homeless and you're in an institution, there's some little history there that maybe might be annoying you, and maybe you need to speak with the chaplain, or you need to speak with somebody, or we need to help you however you can. The Ministry of Human Development also has a similar program where persons, they can be elderly persons, they're adults, again, might have life limited conditions, but they are in homes of people. So it's like a foster care for older persons. So if they're in a home for a foster care type home, so it's a person that opens their home and they take care of this person that is sick. We also provide that care in that home, wherever that home is. We provide that care in that home and we work with the caregiver, educating the caregiver what to look forward to, what to expect, what to do if they see certain things, and educating them on the condition of the person. We are in the process now of opening the first hospice home in Belize. And it's an interesting story because it's this woman that was a teacher, Mr. Alsberta Sosa. She was a teacher at St. Joseph School. And when she died, she left her home. She had no children. So her home to the church. And the church had the home, that's the home there. And the church had the home. The church, we entered into a negotiation with St. Joseph Church, and they have leased that building to us, and we can do all the repairs. We can renovate the building. Those are 3 rooms that we have there. We can renovate the building however we want, and we will have it for 20 years. So we've been working on that building. On the lower flat, we will have 6 rooms. You saw 3 rooms, and then there are 3 rooms on the other side. So those are 3 rooms. It is all glass so that the nurse can see the patient. It is clear that the nurse can see all the patients at one glance. This is for people who are most vulnerable, have no family. So if they have no family and they might be in an institution, they might be on the street, they will go to this home and they will die at this home. So the home, as you could see, those are the rooms. Those are 3 rooms. We have 3 other rooms. The yard is quite big, so there's a possibility of an extension to the back of the yard. So downstairs will be the hospice and upstairs will be our offices. Our offices are now on the corner Ebony and Santa Barbara in the St. Martin de Porres area. So the offices will be upstairs and the hospice center will be downstairs. And that will be training for volunteers because they will volunteer there as well. It will provide training for our nurses from UB because we take nurses on rotation. It can provide training for nurses or students from abroad. As you could see there, we get nurses from other universities that come and do a rotation with us and look at the method we use for working with people, the in-home patients. So they would visit with us and visit the homes and see the service that we offer. Part of our program is to build the next generation. So we provide internship placements for social workers from the university, for nurses, and for pharmacists. And as soon as the medical program gets going, we're hoping that doctors will also, or doctor interns, will also rotate through palliative so that you can see the full development of a person from the womb to the tomb. So the hospice home will provide training for our young professionals here, as well as for those that visit. A lot of universities offer a week outside, so they would come to Belize and they would do social work and they can they can do a session through these different agencies, and then they can compare how we offer services here compared to how they offer it in the States. So we're hoping that we can build some of those relationships, that we can have people, social workers from other universities in the States come, and they can do a day or 2 days, and they can visit with us, and they can see how we do it in Belize. And then they can compare how it's done in the States, how it's done here, and the strengths and weaknesses of each, and how we could collaborate together. So a big part of it is the training. Training is huge, the community involvement. We have a wide array of volunteers. We have volunteers at all levels. We invite people to volunteer in. So we have the volunteers that visit the homes. We have a volunteer that will provide a garden for the hospice home. There will be a garden with a water feature and with different plants that have different smells. So that while you're lying in your bed and you're at the end of life, you can smell different smells, you can hear water, and the place is very cool. The breeze blows through it. And so that will be your experience just before you transition to the other life, you know. So that is the idea, and we are big. Federico Gianelli, who is a representative from the Jesuit Society in Belize, they are big on the most vulnerable, and they're big on, we do not want to charge, because I think families are going through a lot. When somebody is sick, when a loved one is sick, you spend all your money trying to get them well. So by the time you come to a point where you've tried everything and nothing is working, you're also broke. And I think that is fine. You've done what you can do for your loved one. And you should not be denied services because you cannot pay. I don't believe in that. I believe somewhere we have to get the funding to provide. If government provides the medication, if government helps us with, well, doctors, you know, we have the problem now with doctors and nurses and this whole Cuban Brigade issue. But if they can provide some of the funding for the technical people, then we should be able to fundraise to find the monies for the other things, you know. Find creative ways of fundraising, getting the monies in. I don't think we should shy away and say it's too expensive. That's not an excuse, you know. These people have contributed to the development of this country.
Yes.
They've provided children that have also contributed to the development of this country. And the least we can do is to make sure that they die in dignity, you know.
Yeah. We're gonna take a short break, but when we come back, Dr. Pennill, I want to talk to you about the expansion of the program countrywide. And also a little bit more about funding, because this is so very critical, so needed. And I'm so very impressed by the work that has already been done. And we will take a short break. And when we come back, we want to address.
Okay.
Are you ready to celebrate her 2026 concert? Nobody in the world deserves this more than you.
Can you hear my fight? This song, this is my fight song. Take back my life song.
We are sisters. We stand in the gap for each other. We lift each other up when we need a shoulder to lean on.
And nobody in all of us, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna bring me
down. Be in the room so we can celebrate together. March 28th at the Bliss. Get your ticket at Mappy's Beauty World or call 633-9404.
I am a true Belizean. Belize my home, my native land. I want you people to understand. I am proud to be a Belizean. Your bande, your bande. Your bande, your bande.
And greetings and welcome back. This is Naval String Connections. I'm Bilal Morris, live from my studio here in Los Angeles, California. And we have a very educational show on palliative care. Our guest today is Dr. Pennill, Dr. Ava Pennill. Many of us know Dr. Pennill because her work, as she introduced herself a while ago in the first segment of our show, is she has a very broad cross-section of work, social work. I mean, from people with disabilities to special education and education to struggling teenagers. Now palliative care, working with our seniors. But as we hear from her, we want to reach out to those Belizeans across the Belizean diaspora. As we hear Dr. Pennill expresses the need for support in these programs. Many of you Belizeans across the United States and the UK may have a family member, a mother or father that is down in Belize there that is aging, and you support that person. You have been able to support that person over decades. You may not live in Belize, but you may live in different parts of the Belizean diaspora, particularly in the United States. And we want to reach out to you to support this very, very important initiative in the Belizean social life, right? We have an aging population. And again, I say many of us who live abroad, we may have parents that is living back there. We support them financially and otherwise. We visit them, but we also could support them through a program that is coming to you here. And so we brought on and invited Dr. Ava Pennill to educate us on what this is, because many Belizeans abroad do not know a program like this exists. You don't know, and now you know, and that you can support this program in terms of helping your seniors. Dr. Pennill, I remember my aging grandfather used to have Salvation Army gangs at his house, right? And he loved to be there. My mother was his caretaker, but he said, no, my friends are there, you know? And I used to take his dinner and things like that. And we want to sort of big up Salvation Army because they have always been on the forefront of serving people on the underserved or seniors. the work that Salvation Army is doing, as well as the Catholic mission, these institutions. Talk about the fact, Dr. Pennill, if you may, how has this program expanded countrywide? I know we are talking about mainly the work that is done in the largest population center of the country, Belize City, or in the Belize district itself. Talk about how it has expanded, or if it has expanded itself, and what are some of the initiatives and inroads that you're taking in expanding this country, because you know that we have an aging population all across the country. Talk about that, if you may.
What we do, as I said, we are building it into the current system. So the Hortense Humes, the pharmacist, and our technical person, Federico Gianelli, they did a training in the types of medication that you can use at the end of life. There are specific medications that you use. This area is also funded through PAHO. So PAHO had this like manual that explains to you the medication, what is the dosage, what are the side effects. It was like a manual that was prepared through PAHO. And Hortense Humes and Federico Gianelli went across the country, training pharmacists across the country. Because we have, there's a medication we use, morphine. People in Belize are afraid of morphine. You say morphine and their hands go.
Painkiller, yes.
But we feel that morphine, that you get addicted to morphine. That I'm talking about the regular population. You say morphine and they're like, no, we don't want morphine. Find something else. But morphine helps with pain, and it also helps with breathing. And towards the end of life, you start having issues with breathing. And what it does, it relaxes the muscles so that the person can breathe more freely. So to try to get the education about morphine, that will take some time. But if we can start training the pharmacists for them to understand not only morphine, there are other medications that we use as well, that they can understand that and bring them into the fold so that they're aware of it and they're aware of this particular practice of medicine. Because while a large percentage of our population is the elderly, we have a very young population sometimes with cancer, and they're dying and they're in a lot of pain. Sometimes they have to be doing a combination of these medications, and the pharmacist has to understand. So when they see the prescription, they can understand, yes, and we also provided each one of the pharmacists with a copy of the manual that was produced through PAHO. So that is how we're getting the word out. We work with the hospitals, we work with doctors, we work with anybody, wherever you're at. So if you're in Dangriga and you're working and you're seeing people at the end of life, we can also do the consultation with you. Either going there if we have to, not we going there, but we take the doctor and the nurse there, or we do it by phone, we do it by video, however we can do it.
And you work in conjunction with the cancer
yes.
institution there, Dr. Delon Pascasio?
Yes, yes. So we work with those agencies that they can do their part, we do our part, and we work together. So you lessen the duplication, you lessen the overuse of resources, you try to minimize that as much as possible. And if we can work together, what palliative care might look like in PG, the service will be the same, but the shape might be a little different, In Belize, we have this model that we're doing. We're looking at other districts. As soon as we get Belize as soon as we get the model straight, then we need to look at, so what will we do? How will we then address the cultural differences as we move on? What are the cultural beliefs of people? And we have to honor that. When they're near death, we have to honor those practices as well. We were looking to Cayo as well to see what resources and what is out there, and what are the possibilities. If there are possibilities, then we go with those possibilities. I think it's open. We're open to provide whatever service we can provide. Sometimes it's young children. I know we had a very young man, maybe 14 years old, with cancer, and he was in excruciating pain. And it was trying to find what is the best way, consulting with different medical personnel. Not only in Belize, we also consulted in Chetumal as well to see what can be done to at least reduce the amount of pain. You know, he will die, but if we can reduce the pain, whatever is causing the pain and for him and for his family. So we look at all these cases. We're open. We have a Facebook page that we try to post up. As I said, everything is volunteer. So we're like amateurs, but we're posting up everything that we do and that we work with. We work with the fire station. If we have to move people in ambulances and things like that, we work with anybody that we can work with, because we have to spread the services. If we can have one model in Belize City, we work with Belize City and Belize District mainly. A lot of our cases are in the rural areas, and so we have 2 vehicles that go out, and we provide the services in the home, and we have to educate the families within the home because they're not close to any hospital or anything. Sometimes they don't have vehicles and all that. So that service has to be provided within the home, and the families have to become an expert in that care, in end-of-life care. So it's empowering those families. We work largely through donations. We're developing partnerships with the government and the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Human Development, with NHI, with the University of Belize. We're building these partnerships in so that the state can take their responsibilities. And then we also look for the community. We do have what we call a Mission Advancement Committee that does local fundraising. And we know that is limited because it's a small country and everybody's fundraising. But we do we do 2 to 3 huge events per year and other smaller events. And that is to provide some of the support that we need to get the program to run. There was once, I remember, when we had a shortage of colonoscopy bags. And we did a call, and I have to say, people will help. We did a call, and the amount of donation, we had to say, stop, we get enough, that's it, we can't. And so what we do, we also give to other persons that need it. They might not be at the end of life, but they need this service, and we provide it because we have it, and we provide it, and everything is given free of cost. So there are certain items that we need, we get it, and once we get it, we don't have any storage. So once we get what we need for the hospice home, we have the beds, we have certain things, that's what we have. We need other things, and so we're always out looking and expanding. We want to put on the rooms at the back. We're not even finished with the house yet, and we're thinking about the rooms at the back. But we fundraise locally and internationally. And when we look internationally, we said We have persons that say, look, we can give you $50 a month. That's fine. You donate the $50, we provide you with information now on the Facebook. We will start doing a short pamphlet, like quarterly newsletter or something like that, electronic, that you can see what we've been doing. And the quarterly newsletter will be not only what we're doing, that happens on Facebook, but the stories that come up. We will look at the stories that we are seeing and we will humanize this service that we give. So we'll talk about the stories. We have to be mindful as well. It's not breaching any confidentiality, but rather bringing out the human quality of this service, capturing what is happening and putting it out, and then sharing it with persons that donate to the service. Our books are audited annually. It's audited by Mr. Andrew. I know Terry Scott is his mother. It's just Andrew Vasquez. He's an international auditor because a lot of our funds come through the Jesuit Society as well. So all our international funding, we try to fund it through the Jesuit Society so that we don't get into any money laundering or whatever, once they handle it, and then we get those monies and they're earmarked, and it can be earmarked for certain things. So some people donate for a particular thing. So we have individuals that will give $50, $75, $100. Some people give you an annual amount. We have a couple people that give us a salary. I will give you a salary for a nurse per annum. And we report back on what we're doing, the work that we're doing. We collect our numbers monthly and we have it recorded. Our auditor is starting to work now on our last year's annual report. We're now reporting January to December, and it's a detailed report of everything that we have. Because if we're going to ask for donation, we have to show you where that donation went. We use people from the community. We're also looking at possibility of maybe they can probably have an event in the States, or maybe a group of people can come together and say, well, they will have an event. And the
Yeah, that was my
event,
question too, in terms of
yeah.
how has the diaspora been participating in the process? Have you gotten any sort of tangible financial assistance through the diaspora? We know we have the cancer hospital or the Cancer Society in Dangrega through Dr. Delone Pascasio. I know you have worked with her in many different capacities. She works with the U.S. military.
Yeah.
Have you ever certain Belizeans that are that I know that or nurses who would be very attracted to this program and would come in and volunteer themselves?
Yeah.
And it's so good that you came on the show tonight to address that, because we want to send that message and reach out to those Belizean practitioners who have retired and who are willing to go home to Belize. They may not go home to live back there, but they have been contributing their time in helping in various social services. One of the mine comes to me that is Mrs. Middleton, who was a Belizean that lived in the diaspora. She was big on social services.
Yes,
I know
yes.
you worked with her very much so. But Dr. Pennill, there's a lot of Belizeans, professionals who are retired, who would love to give something back to Belize, especially in that area. Address it if you may. What has been the support of the Belizean diaspora from professionals, volunteers, and the financial assistance and so forth?
Well, this is our reach out.
Okay.
This is an area. I spoke to Miss Janelle Chanona.
Yes.
And she is one that said, look, reach out to the diaspora. Then I spoke to Caroline Genity, and she told me, reach out to the diaspora. And I said, okay. And then I spoke with Miss Melissa Balaramos, And she said, Ava, why don't you reach out to the diaspora and say no
Yes,
something?
indeed.
3 knocks come at my head. Ava, do something. And this is my first reach out.
This is your
And
first reach out.
right. And what I said was, I know we have a lot of Belizean professors that probably do immersion trips to Belize. We can be a part of that. We can provide a day if it's social workers, if it is nurses, pharmacists. They can come and they can see. We open our services to them so that they can experience it. It can be a day. We've done it before. And in that way, when they bring the students get the exposure to the work. We can do a short session with them. They are open, they can ask questions. And then at the end of the day, they can leave a little donation for us. We have our little machine right there. And that's what it's one full basket.
We are making that pledge now, Dr. Pennill. Give us for those sake of those Belizeans who are watching the show today that lives in the Belizean diaspora. Where can they send their financial donations to the program in helping? And then also, if they want to volunteer their time as nurses, as social workers, or any of in that capacity, how can they get involved in the pool, with the institution in volunteerism? Talk to us about that and give some information on how they can, first of all, donate financially and then also participate as volunteers.
Right. In the donation financially from persons in the diaspora, we would recommend that they send it. I think I gave you the link. It was the last slide.
Right, yes. Harlan, if you can pull up that last part of her presentation where the photographs are. As we discussed that, I think you have given a link there and where they can send their support and stuff like that.
Pool. They
Yes.
send their support and they say that it is for the palliative care.
There
right.
we go. Yes.
So it will come through the Central Southern Jesuit Province. And so that is the link. They will send that through, and then they will get in touch with Chaplain Federico Gianelli. And once they send a WhatsApp message to him, then he starts looking to make sure it comes down. And once it reaches Belize, he will communicate back that the funds are here. You can usually state that it is for the palliative care. If you want to put it for a particular thing, or maybe, a particular area, whether it's the home, the volunteers, the visit, or if it's general. And this way we can control the funds coming in. That is why we're using this avenue. It is a safe avenue, and we don't pay taxes, no, because it's
Yes,
church.
because you're a non-profit though.
So we don't pay taxes, and they also provide a letter so that it is tax deductible for persons that are living in the States as well. So we provide that letter of support to them or whatever they need so that it is tax deductible. So that is also provided by Chaplain Gianelli. He's familiar with that. Because we do have persons that donate through this every 6 months or so. They will send, and then we acknowledge it, and there's a process that they do to make sure that it can be tax deductible in the States. And the monies come in, and we don't pay taxes on the monies. So we get the equivalent monies in Belize that we can then put it directly.
And how do you handle donations in the form of medical supplies, materials, resources? There may
resources. What we do, because we don't have space, we really don't have space. So what we do, we will do a call. If we need a particular, like right now, we need what we call oxygen concentrators. That's We have oxygen concentrators, but we don't have anybody that can fix them. So the oxygen concentrators come, and once they're broke, they're broke. But people need oxygen. It's another form of getting oxygen. Oxygen in tank is extremely expensive in Belize. There's only one supplier, and that says it all. Oxygen concentrators is a need, but we're trying to think what is the best way or how to get oxygen concentrators here that they don't spoil and then just become a heap of old metal or whatever.
Yes.
So that's an area of concern. If there are people out there that understand, I'm a social worker. I'm no medic by any chance. But I know oxygen concentrators is always a cry. We need oxygen. We need, because particularly at the end of life, it helps people with their breathing and let them feel comfortable at the end of life. So right now, oxygen concentrators is a huge thing. Previously we had an issue with a sterilizer. We have the sterilizer now so that we can sterilize all our gauzes and things like that. So as we need things, we put out a call through the Facebook page. And that way we can control that there's not a lot of things coming in, and then we end up with a lot of things, and then we start becoming distributors. We can't distribute. We can provide palliative care, and if we need this, we call out, this is what we need. We get it, and then we supply it. So that's when it comes to supplies. In other areas, we are open to any ways of raising monies. This is a new area to me as well. As I said, if there can be, maybe somebody could say, well, we can do an event, and then the proceeds of that event can come to the palliative care. If any professional person or technical person, anybody, if you have an idea, we're open to listen to it, to work with it. We have worked with persons from the diaspora, but we've worked with them individually. We want to maybe formalize it maybe a little bit more so that we can have that direct connection, and because we have a pool of people in the diaspora, and it's a pool of resources, not untapped, but maybe not tapped enough. There's a lot more that we can.
Absolutely.
You
You have Belizeans who are donating to like homes like Saint Cecilia.
Right.
Homes. They are donating. I know one, Gregory Henderson, and I know he's watching the show. He might be one of the first to come your way. And he has made several donations, actually made the trips physically, shipped the stuff down for St. Cecilia. And I know that's an institution that you work with very, very passionately. So we want to, Dr. Pennill is making that call to all you donors, you Belizeans in the diaspora here in California, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, where you are, Belizeans who can provide those needed things. Like she's mentioning, oxygen is a very needed thing. There is so many Dr. Pennill institutions, medical institutions here, hospitals, that would love to donate to a cause like that. And there may be the factories who produce these things. And that is a very needed thing because it brings the comfort to the dying. People on hospice. I mean, I see people who have that oxygen tank walking around with it, and it brings a certain amount of comfort to them. That's indeed. Right. So that is a very critical thing. And I hear the call. You have made that call.
And you can reach out to us through the Facebook page. To me, that's as I said, we are amateurs. We're by no way sophisticated. It's just people coming together and putting a cause. Most of our volunteers have a regular job and then they volunteer. But it is the spirit, it is the reason why we're here. And So if we have people that want to come in and volunteer, do a little bit of training with our volunteers, you know, whatever the opportunities are, I think the most common place is to reach out through the Facebook page.
Yes.
And once it comes through the Facebook page, then it comes out into the board, and it comes, you know, so it can be disseminated rather than having all different. For the
Yes.
funding, we would prefer it comes
Central.
through the Jesuit. They have funded this program, they're supporting this program. And I think that is more than excellent.
That is
you know.
fantastic indeed. Very,
And
very
they can get the money
appreciated.
in free of cost to us. They don't charge us anything to process the money. We don't pay any exchange. We don't pay any taxes. We work with anybody. We have a little van. I was trying to get a picture of the van. I didn't even realize I didn't have one. That go out. We just purchased one, and again, it was a businessman that said, "Look, I can bring in the vehicle for you, and I won't charge you. My charges won't be there. I'll just whatever it costs to get it in." So we work with anybody. We're open to provide, and as I said, we're transparent. Our books are there. We try to be, because I believe that if we're asking people to help, we have to be transparent. So we open our doors, and that way we know that the service that we offered is authentic, it's real, it's meaningful, because we have people visiting the homes. We open the service to them. Again, it's not that you go into homes without permission. If the families agree that, say if we bring in nurses and the families agree that the nurses can enter the home, then the nurses enter the home. If the families do not agree, then they don't enter the home, because it's the dignity of the families as well, you know. So we're open to any ideas that you have. If we can provide this, we want to provide it free of cost. It might be costly. We have a cost per patient. Once we get the hospice going, because at the office where we are at, we're not paying any overhead yet. We're not paying any overhead, but as soon as we move to the hospice home, then the overhead will be a part as well.
Yeah.
But we're not shying away from it. The service is more important than anything. So,
and we want to reach out to those Belizean doctors in Chicago, Dr. Calvin Flowers, who works with the Coconte Hospital, who watches the show, Dr. Bernard Bulwa.
Bernard Bulwa, I know him well.
Who would love to contribute to this program, because I know he understands the struggle.
Yes.
He understands the cause. He's an avid viewer of the show. And Dr. Calvin Flowers in Chicago, my buddy, who is always helping and making assistance to the Belize Carl-Wishner Hospital, and many of the other doctors, that Belizean doctors, Dr. Egbert Greenwich.
Yes, I know him as well. I know Egbert Greenwich. I work with
this
him.
is a call to these Belizean medical professionals who live in the Belizean diaspora. And there are many more, many of them, Dr. Pennill, who would love to give to this worthy cause, and this
and once they come, they can visit. They can visit. Once they can visit the place. They can see what we're doing. They can look at our pharmacy, everything. They can look at and see how it is. It is done. We welcome them. They can, whenever they are visiting family, take a half day and come and visit with us and see what we're doing. And then sometimes that is how the ideas they come up, when you see it, you say, oh, I could do this, or I could do that, or maybe you can do that, the ideas come up then.
Yes, I want to say a shout out to the Dr. Ronald Hyde, who provides his services as a doctor, living in Belizean doctor, living in the United States, and does contributes, goes home to Belize on a regular basis and contributes. This is the kind of volunteerism that we want to help Belizeans in the diaspora who are professionals, we like to see help this palliative care, moving it and pushing it so that it can become expanding countrywide, and we can reach all these Belizeans that lives abroad. One of the things I wanted to ask you to address too, Dr. Pennill, is the cultural thing, the whole aspect of using holistic medicine in these various Belizean cultures, the Maya, the Garifuna, the East Indian, and the Creole villages. How do you work with holistic medicine in terms of palliative care in providing that comfort? Does you give access to those Belizeans who use it? Because it's a very it's an old practice.
Yes.
And as you have mentioned, you try to fit in every cultural perspective. Talk about that, if you may.
Yes, we work with all cultures, and there are new things, like even with the use of medical marijuana, we have the conversation, and the conversation is going because it is used for pain.
Yes.
And while we're not using it, there is the discussion and there's a talk about what are the possibilities of using. We use a lot of natural products, like for massaging, for the smell, to keep the hands or the skin very moisturized. We use a lot of natural products in that way. We work with the university as well to look at what natural products can be used in the diet as well. There are certain types of diet. There are certain rituals that people believe in. And what we've done while we get interns, we have social work interns that do a good 4 months rotation. The nurses, they do a 1 week rotation, but the social workers do a 4 month. And whenever we get a social worker from, we ask them for them to document from whatever culture they come from, how the culture deals with death and how it understands the dying process and how it gives meaning, because dying is a process, it's a process that you go through, and how they understand and give meaning to these different steps in the process. Positioning of people, the rubbing of oils, the bathing of people, all that it has meaning. And so we incorporate all those into our practice. The use of smell, the different products that they use for smelling. And that is why we want that the person or the family can use those they burn different things in the home to give relief to the person that is sick. We don't want that you snuff it out. No. If that is what we want to learn from you, copal is a huge thing that people burn.
Yes.
Different cultures burn it for different reasons. We need to know how you use it at the time of death, how you understand the process of death. That can be documented. That is maybe not documented anywhere. Maybe it is documented, maybe it's not. But how can we make sure that we are using these natural processes that people use that has worked for them, and we can incorporate that in, and they can use their whatever smells they might have, whatever type of music they might have. I remember visiting with the team once, and we went to this lady she was a fisher folk down in Placencia, in one of the islands of Placencia. She now has dementia, and she is in that period, and she's talking about what happened in Placencia and with the crabs, and she's giving all these stories. And so the social worker at the time looked at her and said, what was the music at that time? And they're talking, and the social worker brings up the music on the phone, and we we celebrate that period with her, just for that
Beautiful.
short period. And her daughter was there with her, and they're talking about all the things she used to do as a young person. She was in that era, and we went to where she was. She was probably in the early 60s or the late 50s. We went to that period with her, and by her telling us what is happening, which we learned as well, and that person enjoyed that visit, you know. So it's living until the time you take your last breath,
Very
whatever
much so.
that means. You
Yes,
know, you
yes,
live until you die, and you live fully until you die.
yes, yes.
And
Yeah.
so we need to incorporate all those practices in, because you have different ways, and everybody has a voice around the table.
Yes, indeed.
And
Yes,
you know,
indeed.
that is what is important. And we're open to looking at different medication. I know, I remember we were in a discussion with the whole use of medical marijuana. Not that we use it, but we know that it is an option.
Yes, indeed.
And it's something that if the time comes, then we need to advocate for it.
Yes, indeed. And with that, Dr. Pennill, we want to wrap up our show. You have brought us a whole body of information here. We are impressed to know that we did not understand that palliative care field was so advanced so far. And we are so very, I know our viewers and our listeners are very impressed with this, because, as again, I say, many of our Belizeans that live abroad have loved ones, not only elderly, but young, middle-aged, young, that they are taking care of from here, from the United States, and providing financial support for medicines and for care, different things. You got people who have left the diaspora, left the United States, have gone home because they got sick. I know of a couple of Belizean athletes who have died there. They left and they went there, and they had to be things like Pampers and things like that had to be given to them, and they were very young. This is a very needed area, and we want to thank you for coming on and addressing this issue and reaching out to the Belizean diaspora, most of all in getting support and supporting this initiative, supporting this very vital health field, because it's a very important health field, as well as it is an area of social work that is so very much needed in the country of Belize. And we want to say this program, this show, is sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism and Diaspora Relations. I'm Bilal Morris, your host for today's show. We hopefully have our sister ARIA LIGHTFOOT next week with another very dynamic show. We want to say our producer is Nur Mohammed, the man behind the controls, Harlan, our executive producer, XTV. And we want to again thank Dr. Pennill for coming on and accepting this invitation and educating us and informing us on palliative care for Belizeans who are so much in need of it, both in the served and in the underserved communities across Belize itself. Dr. Pennill, we want to thank you.
I want to also thank you very much, and I want to invite the members of the diaspora. Let's continue this conversation. We are all responsible for each other, and as I said, one full basket. Get in touch with us, reach out to us through the Facebook page. We try to post up everything on the Facebook page. That is our front door, if you want, no? So please reach out to us. If you visit Belize, take a half day and come and meet with us.
And say the name again of the organization.
Belize Palliative Care Hospice Association.
Very good. So those Belizeans, visit that page on Facebook, and you can reach out to Dr. Pennill and the institution, the social work institution there that is providing this very vital care. And with that, Harlan, I want to ask you to put up that information again where they can reach them, and we will make sure we pin that on to the show also, Dr. Pennill, that is there for them, that they can contribute in that way. And with that, up, and there, Belizeans, we advise you to copy that, look at that, and reach out to the palliative care institution here that Dr. Pennill heads, and make your contribution, help develop Belize in that area, very much so. And again, we want to thank you, Belizeans across the Belizean diaspora. Thank you again for watching.
Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it this evening. And let us continue.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that
I am a true born Belizean. Belize my home, my native land. I want you people to understand. I am proud to be a Belizean.